I'm Danielle, and for Capstone, my topic is horses. I chose horses because I love them. I've been riding horses for 4 years now. For Capstone, we needed a main inquiry question. My main inquiry question is, was the optimal care for horses before and after competition? It took a lot of time to come up with this question because at first I wanted to do, what is the difference between Western horseback riding and English horseback riding, but that turned out to be too simple of a topic. So now we have this. This question has a lot of different parts to it, but I've narrowed it down to the two biggest parts. Grooming for your horse and the leg care for your horse. So first I'm going to talk to you about before competition. Now before we start, I would just like to mention there might be a few more things you do before competition than after. So the first thing you do before competition is groom your horse. The first step to grooming is using a curry comb. A curry comb is a tool that gets rid of the loose hair on your horse. To use it, you just do circles on your horse in the direction of their hair. The next step is using the hard brush. Yeah, I know it sounds painful because the hard brush, but it's really not. It's just that the bristles are stiff. You use it to get rid of the extra dust on your horse. To use it, you just do little swifts. The next step is the soft brush. Yes, it looks exactly like the hard brush, but it's actually the complete opposite. It's really that the bristles are soft and flexible. You use it to smooth out your horse's hair and make them look nice and shiny for your competition. To use it, you just do long strokes on your horse in the direction of their hair. Lastly, use my personal favorite, the hoof pick. The hoof pick is used to get rid of any dirt or rocks in your horse's hoofs. As you can also see, there is a brush. The brush is used for the frog. The frog is that triangle right in the middle of that horse's hoof. You'd want to use the brush for that because it's a very sensitive spot, and you wouldn't want to use a metal pick for that because that could really hurt your horse. So you'd use a brush in case there's any dirt or rocks there. So now that I've talked to you about grooming, I'm going to talk to you about tacking. Tacking your horse is basically just getting your horse dressed for your competition. The first step to tacking is putting on the saddle pad and then obviously the saddle. The next step is putting on the bridle. The bridle might look really complicated, but it's actually pretty easy. The first steps are putting the reins over your horse's head, the bit in their mouth, and then the headpiece over their ears. The last part is just doing all the buckles and straps, starting with the noseband, going to the brow band, then the throat lash, and lastly, the cheek piece. So now that I've talked to you about before competition, I'm going to talk to you about after. I don't have as much experience in after competition because after my competitions, the grooms in my barn would usually take care of the horse. And that's where my interview came in to help. I interviewed BZ Madden. She was the first woman and American rider to reach the top 3 ranking list in show jumping. When I asked her, "What do you do for your horse after competition?" here was her answer. After competition, we take them back to the barn and have about 2 hours of work left to do to ensure that they are cooled out properly, bathed, and have their legs wrapped if needed. So look at the last part I bolded. I based my after competition research off of that. I started researching how do you cool your horse after a competition? How do you bathe your horse after a competition? But most of the things just kept coming up for the legs. And that's where we have our second main focus, the leg care for your horse. Your horse's legs are basically like your horse's instrument. They use them to defend themselves, walk, trot, and canter, and just basically do everything. So as I'm doing my research, I learned a few really cool facts. One fact is that if your horse has competed on hard ground or for a really long time, then you would put cooling gel on their legs. Another fact I learned is that if your horse is really fidgety or they move around a lot in their stall and you obviously don't want them to get scratched, you would put polo wraps on your horse's legs. Like I said before, your horse's legs are your horse's instrument. So according to that, cooling gel plus polo wraps equals a happy horse. Go check out my capstone vlogs to see my capstone process by typing in the link or scanning the QR code. I hope you enjoyed.